My name is Wilder Jones. I am in 7th grade, and I will be reciting I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King Jr. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here as the great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come here fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come here from areas where your quest for freedom has left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have all been the veterans of created suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, that even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day, on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to gather around together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that down in Mississippi, that one day, even in the state of Mississippi, a state so sweltering with the heat of injustice, so sweltering with the heat of oppression, we one day transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day grow up in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but rather by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that down in Alabama, those vicious racists, those governors having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls. I have a dream today. I have a dream that every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anson Mountford. I'm in 6th grade, and I'll be reciting Why Go to the Moon by JFK. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won. And they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man, and only if the United States can occupy the position of preeminence can we help decide whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war. I do not say that we should or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space any more than we go unprotected against the hostile use of land or sea. But I do say that space can be explored and mastered without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistakes that man has made in extending his writ around this globe of ours. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest preserves the best of all mankind, and its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Bryce play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and to do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal serves to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too. Thank you.
My name is Shira Barnwell. I'm in 8th grade, and I wrote my own speech. Disclaimer. When I discuss the topic of an iPad kid or Gen Alpha, I'm referring to toddlers and younger be given a device with a short attention span right off the bat, without supervision. The day I figured out I wasn't a true Gen Z born from the year 1997 to 2013, and rather a strange Frankenstein of Gen Z and Alpha, was a huge loss to me, though. Because if you've heard anything, Gen Alpha are those weird kids who can't go a millisecond without a screen. And the habits these kids attain are concerning at best. Their attention spans are being bashed and crushed for new mindless stock export. And you feel bad for every Gen Alpha that you see because the current day and age they live in. Attention span is waning inside of every single person, not just Gen Alpha. People everywhere use apps like TikTok and Instagram. This doesn't seem like a big issue until you realize that the CEOs of these companies don't even let their own kids use their apps. Do I hate TikTok, Instagram, or Snapchat? No, of course not. I just hate the fact that people's attentions are reaching new lows. Better yet, I hate that they're getting even worse with AI. AI art is undermining real artists. Its whole gimmick is plagiarism. Artists create only to get uncredited and used for AI to pump out more stock without them ever knowing. Motivation is extremely important to me and is rooted with creation itself. I bet all of you here have seen something creative. Because all of you have heard a speech, a voice, or music. And all of you have seen a building or a book. The funny thing is, all of these things require motivation. So, when you introduce AI, something that can just create any of the things I listed in under 3 minutes, for some random person on the internet to use and get so much more money, fame, and notoriety than a genuine artist with motivations and dreams. If you find this to be an issue, we would think the same thing. Yet, there's something we can truly do to stop AI. I'm a Molly Atkins student. What am I going to do against that? I find the answer to be very, very simple. Ourselves. By fixing our attention spans, and as a whole, our generation's customs. Instead of Gen Alpha not being able to create and only to consume, we flip that script. Let Gen Alpha create for others to consume. And let me tell you, AI will be used a lot less. These are not people who feel the need to create with AI because they have no motivation of their own. These AI platforms won't be an issue. Artists will be able to create to inspire motivation, causing a cycle of support and encouragement, all from the action of changing our attention spans and the systems around us by being us. Thank you for listening to my speech. You get good this speech and the two other before me proves you have an alright attention span. So don't lose it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eva Anderson. I'm in 6th grade, and my speech is If by the Reputable. If you can keep your head when all around you are losing theirs and blaming them. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, yet make an allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or being lied about, don't do lies. Or being hated, don't be ready. Yet don't look too good nor talk too well. If you can dream and not make a master. If you can think and not make nothing. If you can meet your triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth be spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things given light to, broken, and stoop and build them up with one tools. If you can make one heap of all your woes, and risk it on one hand of fish and toss, and lose, and start hearing things, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings when you come in touch. If neither foe nor loving friend can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving moon with 60 seconds worth of distance run, then the earth and everything in it is yours, and for which is more, you'll be a man outside. Thank you.
My name is Christian Ladd. I'm in 7th grade, and I'll be reciting "We Shall Fight on the Beaches" by Winston Churchill. I have, myself, full confidence that if all do their duty, if nothing is neglected, and if the best arrangements are made as they are being made, we shall prove ourselves once more able to defend our island home, to ride out the storm of war, to outlive versatility, if necessary for years, if necessary alone. At any rate, that is what we're going to try to do. That is the result of His Majesty's government and we never done. We love the Parliament and the nation. Even though large tracts of Europe and the old and famous states have fallen or may fall, which is Britain and Scotland, and all the odious apparatus of not to rule, we shall not flag the field. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in field. Fight on the seas of the nation. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing faith. So defend our island, whatever cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on our enemy ground. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight on the hills. We shall never surrender. And if for one moment I do not believe this island, a large part of it, was subjugated and starving, and then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, will carry on the struggle until in God's good time, the new world will step forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cece Mallet. I'm in 6th grade, and tonight I will be reciting "I Went to the Mountaintop" by Martin Luther King. All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they hadn't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for right. And just as I say now, we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around. We aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination. Let us move on in these powerful days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop, and I don't mind. Like anybody, I like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will, and He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know that tonight, that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I am so happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlie Louie. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm delivering the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln. 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. Now we are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It's altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will know nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living remnant, to be dedicated to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. Though we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lynn Walker. I'm in 7th grade, and I'll be doing television for my roll call. The most important thing we've learned, so far as children are concerned, is never let them near your television set. Or better yet, don't install the idiotic thing at all. In almost every house we've been, we've seen them gaping at the screen. They loll and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out. They sit and stare and stare and sit until they're hypnotized by it, until they're absolutely drunk with all that shocking, ghastly junk. Oh yes, we know it keeps them still. They don't try climbing up a windowsill. They never fight or kick or punch. They leave you free to cook lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to the love of talk? It rots the sense in the head. It kills imagination dead. It clogs and clutters up the mind. It makes a child so dull and blind. He can no longer understand a fantasy, a fairyland. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. He can no longer think, he only sees. All right, you cry, all right, you say, but if we go the same way, what should we do to entertain our darling children? Please explain. Well, answer this by asking you, what used your darling ones to do before this monster was invented? Have you forgotten? Don't you know? We'll say it very loud and very slow. They used to read. They read and proceed to read some more. When half their lives is reading books, the nursery shelves had books galore, books cluttered up the nursery floor. In the bedroom, by the bed, where books were waiting to be read, where wonders find fantastic tales of dragons, gypsies, queens, and whales, of treasure islands, distant shores, where smugglers rode with muffin bowls, and pirates wearing purple pants, sailing ships with elephants. Oh, what books they used to know. Those children lived long ago. So please, oh please, we beg, we pray, go throw your tea set away, and in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. Ignore all the dirty looks, the screams, the yells, the bites, the kicks, the children beating the sticks. Because fear not, we promise you, that in about a week or two, having nothing else to do, you'll begin to feel the need to have something to read. And once they start, oh boy, you watch a slow growing joy that fills their hearts, that grows so keen, they'll wonder what they ever seen, that nauseating, fool, unclean, repulsive television screen. And later, each and every kid will love you more for what you did.
Good evening. My name is Zoe Anderson. I'm in 8th grade, and this year I wrote my own speech. Many years ago, two brothers were born. Many years ago, two brothers were born in the village. These brothers were nearly identical twins. Their only difference being that one brother had blue eyes, and the other had green eyes. These boys grew up happily, and they were provided with everything one might need. But their life lacked adventure. So when they were old enough, they decided they were going to leave this village, and they were going to start their own lives and find their own adventure. So the boys bid farewell to their village, and they began their journey. They walked together for a short distance until they reached a forking path. Here they decided they would split up, knowing that they would meet again later, and that they would find each other and tell each other of their wondrous lives. We're going to follow the story of the blue-eyed twin. The man walked down the path for a few more miles till he grew tired, so he sat upon a log. As he was sitting on his log, he felt the presence of a creature behind him. So he looked over his shoulder, and there he saw it. It was a squirrel. And the squirrel started pawing at his back. He jumped up. He was crying and thrashing, trying to get this awful beast away from him. And when he realized that he was only entertaining the squirrel and not getting rid of it, he gave up and continued on. After this encounter, the man decided his journey was going to be miserable. It could only get worse from here. As he was dwelling in these bad thoughts, he came across a large ravine. When he looked over the cliff's edge, there he saw a large flowing river. Finally, he thought, something to quench my thirst, something to reward me for this awful journey. But when he tried to climb down, he slipped. He plummeted down, down, down into the cold water. When he broke the water's surface, he was soaked to the bone, absolutely drenched. The man looked up to the heavens and he cried, "Lord, what have I done to deserve this treatment? What could possibly be so bad to deserve this cruel punishment?" And outraged, he continued. He climbed up the other side of the ravine and he continued down the path. He walked day in, day out for weeks. And he was just about ready to give up and go back home. Until he finally stumbled upon a village. He was so happy that he had finally found somewhere to rest and that he was done with this horrible trip. But when he asked for supplies, he was shocked to find out that here, you had to hunt and gather your own food, make your own clothes, and build your own shelter. He was not used to this, because in his village, everything was provided for him. And he did not want to live a life where he had to work every single day, and where it was his job to provide for himself. But reluctantly, he agreed. He lived a very long, very miserable life. Many years later, the man was old and weary. and he decided he did not want to spend his last days in the place that had ruined his life. So he decided to hike to the top of the nearest mountain. When he got to the summit, he looked over to the closest peak, and there he saw another old man with a long gray beard, the same as his. The man realized this was his twin with the green eyes. He jumped up and waved his arms, and he was crying, "Brother, brother, it's me! Do you remember? Tell me of your travels. Tell me of your life." His brother looked at him, and the green-eyed twin began, "Oh, brother, it's wonderful to see you. My life was simply amazing. Not long after we departed, I found this wonderful creature, and we played for what felt like hours, and it was so amazing. And then I came across a large flowing river, and there I was able to swim and float and do anything I wanted. And then finally, when I found a village, it was wonderful. There, I was able to hunt, I was able to make my own clothes, and I even got to build a shelter. It was nothing like our village, brother. It was truly a wonderful life. How was your life?" Blue-eyed twin looked down as he recounted the events that had occurred in his life. And he realized that he had lived the exact same life as his brother. But his life was miserable. When you are presented with something in life, you come to a fork in the road. You can either follow the path of the blue-eyed twin and live a long, miserable life, or you can take the path of the green-eyed twin and you can live a happy and fulfilling life. So when you are given the choice, always choose to look on the bright side and be positive. Thank you.
My name is Margaret Taylor. I'm in 6th grade, and I will be reciting The Hill You Climb by Mary Moore. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in the sun and the shade? A loss we carry, a seamless way. We have braved the belly beast. We learn that quiet is peace. The norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet, the dawn is ours. Before we knew it, somehow we did. Somehow, we have weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. And yes, we are far from polished and far from esteemed, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge a union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of humanity. We lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but to what stands before us. We closely abide because we know to put our future first, we must put our futures. We lay down our lives to reach our arms up. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. But the world is nothing else, say this is true. That even as we breathe, we breathe. That even as we hurt, we hope. That even as we tired, we try. And that we shall all be tied together, victorious. Not because we will never again live, but because we will never again serve it. Scripture tells us to take the vision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall be moved. If we are to live up to our own time, then victory will lie in the way. For all the bridges we made, that is a promise to live. The hill we climb, only every day.
Hello, my name is Ava Stacy. I'm in 6th grade, and I will be reciting JFK's speech, Why Go to the Moon. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won. And they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man, and only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence
Can we help decide whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war? I do not say that we should or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space any more than we go unprotected against the hostile use of land or sea. But I do say that space can be explored and mastered without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistakes that man has made in extending his grip around this globe of ours. There is no strife, no prejudice, and no national conflict in outer spaces yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind, and its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and to do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too. Thank you.
Hello and good evening. My name is Darby Potter. I am in the 7th grade, and the speech I will be reciting for you tonight is The Great Dictator by Charlie Chaplin. I am sorry, but I do not want to be an emperor. That is not my business. I should not like to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone, if possible. Jew, Gentile, black men, white, we all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate or despise one another. In this world, there is room for everyone. And the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost that. Greed has poisoned our souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We've developed speed, but we shut ourselves out. Machinery that gives us abundance has left our mark. Our knowledge has made us simple, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much, feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, Earth will be an island where all will be lost. The aeroplane and radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for forgiveness of men, cries out for the universal brotherhood of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children. Victims of a system that make men imprison and torture innocent people. To those that can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is upon us is but the passing dream. The bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. Power of the people. Dictators die. The power they took from the people will return to the people. And as long as men die, liberty will never perish. Thank you.
Jay, I think we're ahead of schedule. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a solid 5-minute intermission. Solid 5 minutes of timing you. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, can you have a seat, please? Thank you so much. The students of Mesa, you guys own this stage. You guys are doing so great. Great job. Keep it up. Keep it up. And my teacher, I neglected many people, no doubt. However, I do want to commend Mr. Hammer. Mr. Hammer, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your sound, for your video. Mr. Hammer, Mr. Wood, the department upstairs, they are the ones guiding us through these 21st century skills. Right? They're the ones that long ago in the main learning technological initiative that I come close, MLTI started with laptop program, they're the ones guiding us and bringing our kids online. Now we do have other tasks ahead of us, roads ahead of us with artificial intelligence. Our world is changing faster than we know. And we are in the capable, great hands of people like Mr. Hammer and Mr. Wood who are helping us out so much. So thank you for all that you do. All right, and as we continue, after intermission, I believe we are starting with Caroline. There we go, Caroline, come on down.
Hi, my name is Caroline Lakeman. I'm in 6th grade, and I'll be reciting the speech If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal less. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream, and not make dreams your master. If you can think, and not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet the triumph and disaster, and treat those two imposters just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stolen, and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your wins, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose, and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. You can force your heart, nerve, and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone. And so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will that says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose common touch, neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you. If all men can count with you, then none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of an instant shot, then yours is the earth and everything that is in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Hi, my name is Hilary Kisot. I'm in 8th grade, and I wrote my own speech. I typically think of myself as a happy person. I believe happiness can help a person have a fulfilling life and can solve many of humanity's problems. But the concept of happiness is much harder than it seems. Depending on how happy a person is affects their mental and physical life. In today's world, happiness seems to be harder and harder to achieve, as we are surrounded by both negativity and the inflated perfection of others' lives. There are, however, a number of habits that a person can focus on that can greatly combat those negative feelings and improve their happiness. Sleep affects a person's happiness by an impressive amount. Consistent sleep defects can cause daytime sleepiness, impaired mental function, mood changes, reduced immune function, weight gain, diabetes, heart disease, and mental health conditions. Going to bed earlier, having no caffeine at night, and staying off screens for at least 30 minutes before bed will ensure that you have a good night's sleep. And a good night's sleep is the first step in being happy. Nutrition is another factor that can greatly increase or decrease a person's happiness. Unfortunately, nutrition is often not taken very seriously. Malnutrition causes many diseases and lifelong problems, including depression, low energy, dizziness, and difficulties in concentration. Nutrition can be a major factor in maintaining a healthy weight. Being over or underweight can cause discomfort around others and increase feelings of shame, laziness, and anxiety. The choices we make in our nutritional decisions can make or break our day. Eating a pile of candy for lunch, full of sugar, artificial sweets, and food coloring might give me a burst of energy for a short while, but then the sugar crash hits. And I feel tired, unmotivated, and maybe even sick. Unfortunately, this burst of sugary energy will send a burst of dopamine to my brain, making me crave it even more. That tired, icky feeling you get later on will over time decrease your health and energy, and therefore your happiness. If instead I pack my lunch with a nice salad full of protein and healthy grains, that will sustain me much longer, contribute to my health, and feed my brain, and give me much more long-term energy, gratification, and therefore happiness. A person's social life and relationships have a big impact on how happy they may be. Family, friends, and coworkers all help build a person's social life, and their mood and happiness are often dependent on if those connections are positive or negative. I have an amazing relationship with my family, friends, and classmates. Around my family, I can talk about my struggles, and they, in turn, give me support and advice. My friends make me feel a sense of belonging, and they always cheer me up when I feel down. And my classmates cheer for me when I'm doing something important. Positive company always makes people feel wanted and included. Doing positive work with that company brings these good feelings to the next level. Last summer, I went to a golfing fundraiser for Garden Bush Children's Hospital to sell lemonade. The lemonade stand made over $4,000. The fact that so many people donated to children and families in need that day blew me away. After this event, I went home and thought about how grateful I am for my life. Concentrating on being grateful is one of the most effective ways to combat depression and helps people feel connected to something that is bigger than themselves. Every night, I think about my day, my life, my loved ones, my health, my home, and concentrate on how grateful I am for all those things. This brings me peace and happiness each and every day. Social media and entertainment have taken over and now control many people's lives. Due to phones and other digital devices, our dopamine levels have our lives on never-ending scrolling and meaningless videos. When you scroll, you see videos of other people's perfect lives or doing something that your average person does not have the skills to do. Well, guess what? These people's lives aren't actually perfect. They just video the clean parts and the clean and safe parts of their homes. And when they're smiling and looking happy, even at the moment you turn off the camera, they're in fact dissatisfied and unhappy. They only upload the video of a successful trip or the perfect dance routine, not the 100 other failed attempts. Seeing videos like these make the viewer feel inadequate or self-conscious of their own homes, skills, and happiness. This concept is basically increasing your jealousy of others and bringing you dissatisfaction in your own life. As that one influencer more and more followers, while successfully isolating the viewers with hours of endless scrolling. You aren't increasing your own connections with real people. You aren't working on increasing your own skills, and you're not building your own dream life and happiness. So at the end of the day, you feel like you can't achieve anything. Some ways you can solve this never-ending problem is to set a time limit on those addictive apps, or delete them off your home screen. Remind yourself that these videos are staged, edited, and perfected, and just plain unrealistic. And then go on a walk outside or listening to your favorite playlist. These active and productive actions will make you feel happy. And you can feel like you can do anything. To further protect one's happiness, take care of the mind and body. Exercising and spending time outdoors triggers feel-good brain chemicals like endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. Sunshine boosts vitamin D levels, and working out or doing outdoor activities with others simultaneously supports their personal relationships and sense of belonging. Religion and meditation are great tools to care for the mind. According to the American Heart Association, meditation helps manage stress, lower high blood pressure, improve sleep, and reduce the risk of heart disease. Personally, I am a practicing Catholic, so I pray and follow God. Prayer provides me with peace and feeling of belonging to something bigger than myself, and helps me practice gratitude and happiness. So if you are struggling with depression, or maybe just having one of those bad days, where you can't seem to get out of your own way, ask yourself, have I gotten enough sleep? Have I eaten well? Have I gotten together with any of my loved ones? Am I limited in my screen time? Have I gone outside? Have I exercised? Have I prayed or meditated? For many of us blessed with good lives, happiness can be a choice, something you fight for each and every day. And this is my recipe for happiness. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Olive Feldman. I'm in 6th grade, and I will be reciting the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln. 407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in this great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of battle. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field for a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know, nor long remember what they say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, living rather, to be dedicated here, to the unfinished work which they have fought here, of thus, far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us. And that from these honored dead, we take in peace devotion. To that cause, we shall have a new birth of freedom, in the government of all the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Elliot Kuptel. I am in 7th grade and I will be reciting Roald Dahl's television speech. most important thing we've learned, so far as the children are concerned, is never, never, never let them near a television set. Or better yet, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. In almost every house we've been, we've seen them gaping at the screen. They walk and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out. They sit and stare and stare and sit until they're hypnotized by it, until they're absolutely drunk on all that shocking ghastly talk. Oh yes, we know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the windowsill. They don't fight, kick, or punch. They leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved talk? It rots the sense in the head. It kills imagination dead. It clogs and clutters up the mind. It makes the child so dull and so blind. He can no longer understand a fantasy, a fairyland. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. He can no longer think, he only sees. But all right, she'll cry. All right, she'll say. But what if we throw the television set away? What shall we do to entertain our darling children? Please explain. We'll answer this by asking you what the darling ones used to do before this monster was invented. Have you forgotten? Don't you know? We'll say it once, very loud and very slow. They used to read. They'd read and read and proceed to read some more. When half of their lives was reading books, the nursery shelves held books galore. Books cluttered up the nursery floor. And in the bedroom, by the bed, more books were waiting to be read. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales of dragons, gypsies, queens, and whales, and treasure isles, distant shores, where smugglers rode the muffled oars, and pirates wearing purple pants, and sailing ships and elephants. Oh, books, what they used to know. Those children lived long ago. So please, oh please, we beg and we pray, throw your television set away. And in its place, you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall, ignoring all the dirty looks, the screams, the yells, the bites, and the kicks, and children hitting you with sticks. Fear not, because we promise you that in about a week or two of having nothing else left to do, you'll begin to feel the need of having something to read. And once they start, oh boy, you watch the slowly growing joy that fills their hearts. They'll grow so keen, they'll wonder what they've ever seen in that ridiculous machine, that nauseating, foul, unclean, repulsive television screen. And later, each and every kid will love you more for what you did. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Merritt, and this year I wrote my own, and I'm in 8th grade, and this year I wrote my own speech. The definition of perseverance is to not give up, and that's what I had to do when I broke my arm. And I had to do things a lot differently at a time. I had a hard time writing, sleeping, eating, so I had to figure out how to do things. For example, how to fall asleep and write, and how to get my things to my class. I learned how to persevere. I had to try new things and get used to doing new things. It took me a long time, but I got it, and eventually I fell asleep and got my stuff to my class. Within 1 month, I was ready to get out of this thing. I remember this one time I had to go to the doctor, and they said that they thought in 1 week that I should be able to take off this thing. And I was super excited to take it off. Then 1 week later, when I went back to the doctors, they said something that made me sad and put me down. They said that the sling needed more time to get my arm to heal. This sling made me think the last time I broke my arm. And that also made me think about when my teacher said, don't play tag on the playground. But I always did. I always played tag. After I broke my arm again, I realized that they were right. A big challenge was watching my sister play field hockey. It was really hard to see the kids playing games at night and getting to run. I had to sit there and watch them play. This made me really sad and frustrated. Another thing that made me happy was that I did not have to miss any hockey games to practice. I learned when I had a broken arm or any broken bone to try new things, persevere. Perseverance to me means to not give up when you fail the first time. But the dictionary definition of perseverance is to achieve your goal, and if it doesn't work, try something new. Remember, if you don't get it the first time, keep going and learn perseverance. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charlie McDonald. I'm in 7th grade, and I will be reciting Churchill's "We Shall Fight on the Beaches" speech. I have, myself, full confidence that if all do their duty, and nothing is neglected, and the best arrangements are made, as they are being made, we shall prove ourselves once more able to defend our island home, to ride out the storm of war, and to outlive the Madison tyranny. Necessary for years, if necessary alone. At any rate, that is what we are going to try to do. That is the resolve of His Majesty's government. That is the will of Parliament and the nation. The British Empire and the French Republic linked together in their cause, in their need, to defend to the death their native soil, aiding each other like good comrades to the utmost of their strength. Even though large tracts of Europe and many old and famous states have fallen or may fall into the grip of the Gestapo and the odious apparatus of Nazi rule, we shall not fight with fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and the oceans. We shall fight with growing strength and growing confidence in the air. We shall never surrender. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And if, which I do not for a moment believe, our island, a large part of it, were subjugated and starving, then our empire, beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, will carry on the struggle until, in God's good time, the New World, with all of its power and might, will step forth to the rescue and the liberation of the world. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kanan Keel. I'm in 6th grade, and I will be reciting Why Go to the Moon by JFK. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won. And they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. And whether this force will be used for good or ill depends on them. And only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence can we help decide whether it will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war. I do not say we shall or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space, any more than we go unprotected against the hostile use of land or sea. However, I do say space can be explored and mastered without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistake man has made in extending his grip around this world of ours. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind. And its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? Why does Bryce play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal is willing to serve and measure to the best of our energy and skills. Because that challenge is one we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win. and the others too. Thank you.
My name is David McKenzie, and I'm in 8th grade, and I wrote my own speech on blind villagers for kindness. From about the 1970s to the 2000s, you were able to give people that you did not know a ride because people were nicer. That then kids used to walk places and would also never get hit by cars because cars would stop and cross the street. So they could just play around without fear. Years ago, fewer people could just play around with fear. And then they could have less things stolen or taken from them. The neighbors would watch out for each other. Now we could even ask a stranger for help. This sounds like a way better way of living. How can we change some of these things? If you're nice to people, you should be nice to you. But if you're not nice to people, they might not be nice to you. You can be a role model to change things. Why do I think people need to be more kind? I see on the news that people are getting hurt or killed, and that people are stealing from churches, so that's why they lock them. It seems that kindness is in people's favor. Here are some examples of kind. If you're kind, you might open doors for people, and if you see the quiet kid sitting in the corner, you can invite him to sit with you or go sit with them. Another example is, my mom is a kind person because she babysits dogs, she helps people shovel, she walks dogs, she grooms cats, she gives dogs baths, and she works at food pantries and Dinner Bell. She's also inspired me to work at the Dinner Bell and 2 food pantries. I've experienced kindness from others too. One day I was going home from basketball practice and I wanted to cross the road, and about 5 cars passed me without stopping. So my friend's dad pulled into the road and let me cross the street. How can we change some of these negative things and bring more kindness in the road? You can be a role model to change things like my mother has been for me. You can find someone that is kind and follow their lead. Even simple things like smiling at strangers or offering to help someone with a small task. Do you think the world needs more kindness, and how can you help? Thank you for listening to my speech.
Hi, I'm Josie Everett. I'm in 6th grade and we're reciting Guidance to Now Talk by Martin Luther King. All we see to America is the truth of this archaic. If I lived in China, or Russia, or any other authoritarian country, maybe I can understand some of the legal injustices. Maybe I can understand the denial of basic first-rate privileges, people behind committing such that over there. But somewhere, I read the freedom of assembly. Somewhere, I read the freedom of speech. Somewhere, I read the freedom of press. Somewhere I read the greatness of America is the right to protest for right. And so just they say, we're not letting dogs or water hoses turn us around, we're not letting judges turn us around either. Let's rise and train for greater readiness. Let's stand for greater determination. Let's live these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation. Well, I don't know what happened now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter to me now, except it's the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anyone, I want to go a long way. Long because we have this place. But I'm not concerned with that now. I just want to go out. It is on my lips now. And I've looked over. And I've seen the promised land. I may get there for you, but I want you to tonight. The lazy people will get to the promised land. And so I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes will see the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth of this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation, so conceived, so dedicated, it can long endure. Now we are met on the great battlefield of that war. Come course of that field as the final resting place for those here their last. That nation might live, and it is altogether fitted to cover that we should do. But in larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living dead here who struggled, constituted it far above our foreign power. To add or subtract, the world will never know, nor long remember what they say here. But they can never forget what they did here. It is us the gladly to be dedicated to the unfinished work, which they who have far thus so nobly did. It is rather for us here to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us. From these are dead, increased devastation to the cause which they here gave the last full measure of devastation. That we highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that nation, under God, we shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Robson Clark. I'm in 8th grade, and this year I wrote my own speech about confidence. Confidence. Most people know it as the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. Who can I rely on? Who can I trust? This is a lesson that I've been working on to figure out for 14 years. Growing up, I knew that I had one person who I could truly rely on. This person was my everything for the first 7 years of my life. I remember going to father-daughter dances with him in kindergarten and first grade. I remember staying home and playing games like hide and go seek or watching movies when I was sick. I loved him so much. Then, in the blink of an eye, he was gone one day. My dad, my everything left when my mom and him split up. All of a sudden, this person I went from seeing every day, who meant so much to me, wasn't there for me. He promised he would come, and I waited for him, but he never showed up. I was in 2nd grade, and all of a sudden, I was alone. I was struggling with school, and my life was falling apart. This was the first lesson I learned in life when it came to trust and building up my confidence. Then, COVID hit. I was at home with my mom, sister, and baby brother. My mom ended up moving us to Freiburg. All of a sudden, I felt successful at school. I no longer had behavior issues and had a teacher who truly cared about my success. I started to build up, and little by little, I grew more confident in my school and abilities. But even as things were improving, confidence wasn't something that just magically showed up one day. It was something I had to keep choosing, over and over again. I had to learn that confidence doesn't always come from having someone else there to hold you. Sometimes, it comes from realizing that even when everything else around you changes, you are still capable of growing. As I got older, I began to understand that the people who truly care will show up, and the ones who don't will teach you lessons you didn't know you needed. My mom became one of those people I knew I could rely on. She supported me, pushed me, and reminded me that I wasn't as alone as I felt back in 2nd grade. My siblings were there too. They gave me a sense of purpose. I wanted to be someone they could look up to, someone stronger than the scared little kid I used to be. Now looking back, I say that confidence isn't just about trusting others. It's also about trusting yourself. Trusting that you can get through the hard stuff. Trusting that your past doesn't define your future. Trusting to learn that even when someone else lets you down, you can still rise, rebuild, and become stronger. There are many people who helped me become the person I am today, like my mom. My mom had to raise 3 kids all by herself. But even as she had to raise my siblings and I by herself, she still made sure to show up for everything. Sport events, birthday parties, and she helped us when no one else did. She made sure we all had the love and support we needed. The rest of my family helped out as well. My grandparents drove us around when my mom was busy with work. My aunts supported us, my uncle stayed, and my cousins showed me that's all going to be okay. My friends helped out more than anyone. They comforted me on days I wanted to cry and pushed me to be my best self. They showed me what true friends are supposed to be like. Growing up, I never quite known what confidence was. But now, as I'm older, I know what confidence is and how being confident is supposed to look like. Because confidence isn't just what people say of it, it's what you make of it. And I know I made it my own, and I'm proud of what I made of it. Thank you.
Ooh, holy cow, holy cow. Thank you so much. Well done. So everybody, at this point in time, the judge is going to go into the Mesa room and we are going to sit and talk, collaborate, and come up with somehow people who have done incredibly well. Let's face it though, you all, whether your first night or second night, you all deserve a huge round of applause. Can you do that for them? Thank you so much. So if you can give us a moment or two or three or seven, we appreciate it. We'll be right back. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience. I'm sure you realize the task that we had in front of ourselves. It was a monumental task, but I can certainly give you all a straight face and say, hey, it really made no difference between first night and second night. I know we didn't talk about it, but when you look at the results, I think that was painfully clear, all the things that we talked about. So thank you so much. Folks, I'm going to look right at the camera to Ezra Wilson, who always gave me a hard time saying, you always say speech night was the greatest night ever. We've had the best speech night this year, hands down. And you guys owe all of that. So here we go. Can I have these people on stage at the podium? We'll start with 6th grade. A tie for 3rd place. Ainsley Slayton and Charlie Louie. In 2nd place, Milo Monteith. And in 1st place, Anson Mountford. For 7th grade, 3rd place, Elliot Guptill. In 2nd place, Wilder Jones. And in 1st place, Dobby Porter. And 8th grade, their last speech night. Before I go to 8th grade, I do want to say in the judges' room, and I took pictures of everything, so many kids were mentioned, so many great speeches, so many students really pouring their heart and soul into their speeches, really making themselves vulnerable. And in middle school, that's not always the easiest, especially in front of 200 people. Well done. In 8th grade, 3rd place, Zoe Anderson. Second place, Jasmine Robson Clark. And in 1st place, Lady Johnson. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Same as first night, if you have a moment or two, if we can have some help stacking the chairs, our custodians who work so hard, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you again, folks.